Keep playing.
Welcome back to another episode of Eagles Weekly. Here are your hosts, Brett, Haas, Mac, and Jack. How we feeling, fellas?
All right, welcome back to Eagles Weekly, episode 24. I'm one of your hosts, Brett Ryder, joined today by our ACC athlete, Jack Cyberlick, and a former ACC athlete, Mason Madsen. Boys, how you doing?
Hey man, I'm happy to be here. That was quite the intro. I'm thinking I might need to add something like that to my YouTube because it's kind of catchy. I can get down with that. I might have to start working on something, put something together.
That music's it's from the Elvis movie. I heard it in the Elvis movie and I just chopped it up.
So do you get copyrighted or not? How does that work?
Not yet.
All right. We're pretty underground here. Oh, that's funny. No, it's good to be here. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey for you, must say. You know,
that's an understatement, I think.
You know, it's like you went from 2 years at Cincy, then you came to BC, finished up at Utah. It's like there's so much to talk about, so many questions to even ask you. But I guess like my first real question, because obviously we kept in touch, last year pretty consistently, and then this year checked in. How was the experience being in Utah, playing with Gabe, and just the whole at Big 12?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's not what I thought it would be, but I am very appreciative of the fact that like the closure I got. I mean, that's just something I would have always kind of wondered what if I never pursued this opportunity, and I, like you guys know, I'm in the content space, so it's like I constantly have this kind of dialogue. And someone just asked me the other day, like, do you regret leaving BC? And it's like there were lots of times this year where I imagined myself back at BC for sure. Like I'd be lying if I said that wasn't true. Mm-hmm. But like now that it's over and I've kind of made it through a full season of lots of highs, lots of lows, probably more lows than highs. I think that I can say that I got what I wanted and I guess I got what I needed out of this experience, being able to be back together with my twin brother. I mean, it's a rare thing for, I feel like, a set of twins to even make it to this level, and let alone be able to play together, in the Big 12, which was really cool. And then like my mom was able to make every single game. I think you guys, like she lived in RV last year and traveled back and forth between Boston and Utah. And so we made it a little easier on her for our last year, which she was appreciative of for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's, like you said, there's lots to dive into, but I can say I'm grateful for the experience, even if it wasn't everything I thought it would be when I made this move.
First thing we got to do, Jack, is we're going to clip that Mason Madsen misses playing at BC.
Yeah, that'll go BC viral.
I've honestly talked about like especially with Sierra, my girlfriend. It's like now that it's over, like my college career is over. I've been to 3 schools. I never thought I would be at 3 schools when I started, but it's like I identify for sure with BC the most. It's not even close, which is, and I've talked about like in my YouTube, like wanting to coach and that being like a thing for me. Like, I hope I have a long pro career, like I would love to play for 10 more years, but I know there's going to be a time when that ends. And I think I've recently realized, like, I think dream job scenario would be like, I go to BC and work there, like, and become head coach at BC. And it can sound far-fetched at this point, but that would be pretty sick to go full circle,
Yes.
And it's just like, I mean, everything I said about BC and about Boston it's like I meant it, like I love being in Boston. I think there's something really special about BC. And then I feel like also being an alum, that feels weird to say, but it's like, that's what I am at this point, and I think that holds weight in the coaching world. I mean, here at Utah, when they fired our head coach, they hired an alum that played here, and I think that it doesn't always happen, but I think that if you're in the coaching profession, it doesn't hurt if you played at that school, so I think that could be, that's down the line a ways, but it could be cool. And I've thought about it a little bit as my college career is wrapped up. So,
well, Brett, you and we've talked so many times about BC is such a tough draw for a coach. So I'm glad we have our first candidate in the
There you go. I'm putting my name in for 2035 when that rolls around.
Yeah. Yeah, Mason, I did want to ask. I guess, you talked about this being a whole new experience with your brother. What was kind of like the obviously the whole family aspect of it being one thing. What were some of the main differences playing in the ACC under BC, under Earl Grant versus, transferring to another power conference in the Big 12 with your brother?
Yeah, I think that because I think before this year, the perception of the Big 12 was like, oh, that's maybe the best league in the country. And it's like, obviously the ACC is no slouch. I know that.
Right.
But that was kind of my take on it, having, just watched it from afar and played in the ACC. But I think now someone actually asked me that toward the end of the year. And I think I don't know if there's as big a difference. I think that maybe top to bottom, there is maybe more parity in the Big 12. Like you really can. And I guess I'm speaking to my year too, like my senior last year, it was, Louisville was not great, Notre Dame wasn't great, and so but I think those schools all took a rise this year. And so honestly, I don't know if there's that big a difference at this point, having played in both. You see that the SEC, maybe that would be a different thing. Like you see the length and the athleticism, and I don't know. I feel like the Big 12 and the ACC are somewhat similar. I'd be interested to see what metrics say, because I'm sure that it probably doesn't support what I just said, but it's not something that as a player on the court, you don't really think of it, because at the end of the day, basketball is basketball. And I think that I just realized there's high level basketball all across the country, and I was lucky in both those leagues. So.
Yeah. As a fan, I do think about it sometimes, like watching the tournament where you have the Big East is clashing with the SEC, or the Big East you think about, it's really grinded out, hard nosed, physical, whereas SEC is, like you said, long, athletic, high octane offenses. Do you feel like that? Do you feel that difference at all, like ACC versus Big 12, or do you feel like they're pretty similar in that way?
Yeah, I think that's kind of my point. I think ACC and Big 12 are maybe more similar than the Big 10 is known as a half court league. And like you said, the Big East is kind of grinded out too. Before the Pac-12 dissolved, it was Pac-12 was known as run and gun. You just get threes. I watched it for 3 years watching Gabe, and it's I didn't love I loved a run and gun, but I didn't love watching that brand of basketball, because I was it just, you're getting some high scores, but you're getting lots of blowouts too when it's like that.
Yeah.
So, I think that the ACC, I wish I could give you a better answer, but I see exactly what you're saying, because I've thought about it a lot. But having played in both, they are more similar than I thought they would be.
Yeah.
So last year when you entered the portal, I think a lot of people kind of assumed it correlated more or less that, a big reason was that you wanted to play with your twin brother. And you recently put out a short, and by the way, to all the listeners, make sure you check out his YouTube page if you haven't already. Tons of great content on there. One of the clips, you did talk about the transfer portal and just making sure you're going in for the right reasons and not, looking as a, end solution, so to speak. Was it kind of a foregone conclusion that you were going to transfer in order to play with Gabe, or was it kind of how the roster played out when a lot of the guys that were on the team with you were transferring, or kind of how did that look for you last year?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that it wasn't a foregone conclusion. It was definitely something we had talked about. Honestly, we had talked about it every single year, and that's just natural. As two twin brothers playing Division I basketball, it's and the fact that we committed together and never played a game, it's
that's crazy.
It is crazy. And so it's I think my circumstance is just so much different than lots of people, and even then people can really wrap their head around. And so it was. I think I addressed in my in my season long outro, but a year ago when I had the conversation with Coach Grant, I left a meeting with him, kind of my last one. Gabe had finished up playing in the NIT, and I was just kind of fed up. I was listen, I can't keep waiting for you, because he was honestly deciding between he was going to come back, he was going to transfer and try to get the big, because he could have gotten paid way more than he got paid this year, for sure.
Interesting.
Right? So, and I'm not going to throw numbers, because I just don't want to do that to him. But it's he could have probably made double what he made this year, which says a lot about where I think the state of the program was. And so, he was kind of deciding between that, going back to Utah, and then also like just going pro, and would have had some pro options, could have gotten a year head start on that. And so I was kind of fed up with it. I was like, listen, I have a good situation here. I feel really good about BC. I feel good about Coach Grant, and like I remember in that meeting, Coach Grant made a comment. He was like, listen, I know this isn't for money and whatever. But he's like, at the end of the day, you got to think about relationships, and you got to think about like what coach is going to be at your wedding in 5 years. And I knew that answer in my head is like, Coach Grant's going to be at my wedding for sure. I've said I would let Coach Grant officiate my wedding, and it's like, I mean, I talked about like I met my girlfriend. She was a manager on the team. It's like kind of taboo at the time, but he was like really understanding, and it's like something I felt super uneasy about. And so, I guess to bring it back, he had this conversation with me, and I felt good. I texted Sierra when I left. I was like, "Listen, I got good news for you. Like, I'm probably staying. Like, I feel really good about the conversation we had. I feel good about like being like a BC guy, finishing out my career here." Getting a master's degree from here, it's like just all those things that you think about. And then we're playing cards that night, and Gabe calls me. He got off his flight back from the NIT, and he's like, I got good news. He's like, I'm transferring. I was like, wow. And I was like, okay. And Sierra's sitting right across the table, and he's like, nah, I'm just playing. I'm staying. He's like, we get to play together. And so it was just so bittersweet in the moment. I'm like, well, that's all we wanted for 5 years,
Yeah.
But this is also coming on the heels of like that really good conversation, me telling my girlfriend I was going to stay. Instead, we're doing long distance for 2 years now, and so that was hard. But at the end of the day, she came to understand why. And honestly, I don't think if everyone stayed, it would have made a difference. It maybe I would have thought about it a little harder, because it's like those guys I'm still so close with. I'm actually going back home on Wednesday, and QP plays in Minnesota. And
so awesome.
Yeah. But it's like we're still in contact all the time, and so Abe's wedding's at the end of the summer, and that'll be a great reunion. But I definitely miss those guys. But this was just something I had to do. So, yeah.
I know Abe's a PA guy. Is that wedding in PA? Because if it is, I might have to crash.
That's actually, I think it is in PA, honestly. So you might have to swing by. I'll drop the ad.
Yeah, I'll tell the fellas. But
okay, good.
Yeah, that's good insight. What you said about that meeting with Coach Grant. Do you feel like, based on like the conversations you've had with other guys in the portal, do you think that's more the exception than the rule when it comes to how coaches view it, like that relationship based aspect, or do you think
for sure? Mm-hmm. Like the conversations I've had with, so we're going through a unique time here at Utah. It's like our coach got fired end of the year, and then they brought in a new coach. And I think it'll be a good move. Like I think he's probably the right guy for the job, honestly. But the way all the guys coming in are from the NBA. So like Alex Jensen, the head coach, was an assistant with the Mavs, and he brought in like the assistant GM with the Kings, who brought in other guys from the ops guy with the Kings. And so you got a big NBA influence at Utah now. Mm-hmm. And hearing like those conversations, it's like, we really like you and you're a good person, but if you can't get to $125,000, we're not keeping you. And so it's way more transactional than anything else. Even the coach that I came and played for had made comments about like, oh, this game's just transactional now. Relationships mean nothing. Mm-hmm. And I don't even want to put that on blast, but it's like that's how some coaches see it, and it's like I get that it's probably a hard time to be a college head coach when you've lived through so much change in the last 5 years. I mean, like I don't know if any college player has gone through as much change as like my class that went from 2020. I wasn't making any money, like kind of through everything. And then like this past year, I was able to make some money, and it was great. Like, but when I think back on my freshman year, I remember saving every stipend at the end of the year. I bought my Prius for $3,500. I was like, I'm rich. Like I have more money than I need, and that was $3,500 in a year. And so now you have dudes making $500,000, $1 million. And it's kind of, I said, if you guys want to know how the landscape works right now, like my value, if I came into college right now And I had the same exact career, and I started at Cincinnati, and I went to BC and so on. But they had the NIL budgets they do now. I would have made well over $1 million easily, which is pretty insane.
Yeah.
You know? So it's, and let me tell you, I am nowhere close to $1 million in my. So
when you think about it, it's like people without figures, like the average power conference starter is getting paid, $300,000 or whatever a year. That over a 5-year career, that's
crazy.
Insane to think about.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and you see like, these figures that these agencies put out, or who knows if this is true, but like, oh, Kentucky's putting together like a $20 million roster, which
I mean,
that could be true. It could not be true, but
yeah. BYU is like, they're paying AJ $7 million and they're paying Rob $3.5 million. And so you know their budget's like about $20 million, which is I mean, that's just crazy. It's like, trust me, I wrote a paper back my freshman year of high school about why college athletes should be paid. This is before I ever knew I was going to play in college. But I didn't ever see it this way. Like this is a pro sport at this point, And so I think they got to start treating it like that. I think they will, but like with that you need a salary cap. That's the most obvious one to me. Is like, if you're a Power 5 school, you can spend X amount of dollars. If you're in the MVC, you can spend this amount. If you're in the A10, you can spend, like that just makes sense. And I don't know why we haven't gotten there yet. I guess there's just been so much change, and I'm happy for all the guys in college. Right? I'm a little jealous, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm happy for guys. Like, you get what you're worth at this point, because I don't know if it's sustainable the way it is right now, because it's really just pay to play, even though they won't call it that. It's like, that's what it is. We got to go do community engagement stuff to get like NIL, like name, image, likeness. You got to do a community engagement, but you're getting paid based on your worth to the team. So they need to stop beating it around the bush there.
Yeah. I remember the sorry, go ahead, Brett.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think NIL came into effect more or less like that summer 2021, I think.
Yep.
And I remember I was going to be a junior at BC. We had all these different compliance meetings about like what you can do, can't do, whatever. It seems like I don't know. It seems like a very all around good idea. Like, oh, you can use your name and image, get sponsorships. You can go to El Palone, make money there, things like that. And it's just become such like a Trojan horse for I mean, you talk about these
donors to just give all their money to people, and then it's like it's people. The majority of money isn't coming from people like, oh, because bro, trust me, I've been that guy where I'll sit on my phone and DM all these golf companies. I'll DM. I got a drone. I'm DMing drone company, and like trying to get like a deal where I'm like, here, let me post for you. Let me get a free pair of shoes in exchange for a post. But that's not what it is for most guys. Most guys, it's like I didn't ever have an agent in college, so I was never even really thinking about the money part. But yeah, you're right. It is like a Trojan horse for kind of all the other stuff, And
in some ways, it is good. Like it keeps, higher end. You look at Auburn's. They have like one of the oldest rosters, which in some ways is good, some ways is bad. But it keeps guys like Chad Baker-Mazar, who probably could have signed a 2-way deal or something. Said is making more money in college than he would in the NBA. So in some ways, it keeps guys like that around, but. It's just, I don't know.
I can't imagine being a high school guy right now, honestly, especially with my path. It's like,
because you're competing with.
Yeah, it's so
4,
many
5, 6 years older.
If I'm if I'm a college head coach right now, and I don't have like because you have some culture places where it's like Marquette is known to just recruit high school guys, and no one transfers out. Duke, no one really transfers out.
Yeah.
But if you're at like any school, really, you're just going to the transfer portal, And so with my path, it's like all I had was mid-major offers until Cincinnati came along, and it's like I would have never gotten Cincinnati in today's day and age, which is crazy to think about.
I mean, Rick Pitino said that exact thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was before or after he got bounced in the tournament, but he's got no high school guys coming in. He'll bring in a class. He has brought in a class of super high-end transfers.
Yeah, they're
that's
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to get them pretty damn far, probably a lot further than they would have with 3 freshmen, 4-star freshmen. So
exactly.
So it is tougher to be an incoming high schooler for sure.
Yeah. I mean, look at Michigan. Like Dave Portnoy basically bought a quarterback for them.
Isn't that crazy?
That's like zero affiliation. He's not going to do anything except he just wants him to win at his alma mater. Like that's it.
Insane. Yeah. I mean, that's the world we're living in right now. So I can't blame all these rich people. If I was a super rich fan, I would do the same thing. I would want to see my team be good after, and so it makes sense, but the regulation has to come from above. And that's older. Put me on the phone with the higher ups and I'll tell them how it has to be.
when you entered the transfer portal, I can never get it. Transfer portal.
Yep, there you go.
I always fuck it up. When you were kind of talking to coaches and getting, offers or whatever, was there a number attached to it? Like, is it like is that how it goes now? Is like free agency more or less?
For lots of people, honestly, if I'm being selfish at this point, I wish I did approach it that way more, and I wish I put out a short that said that too. Like if I were to do it over, I would have signed with an agent for sure. Just so I don't have to stop. Hold on, my dad's calling me. Sorry. Just so that I don't have to have those conversations, and because it's like those are uncomfortable conversations for a 22-year-old to have with a head coach that's like 50, who's not. It's not even his money, like it's not his money that he's giving you. It's like the school's money or the donor's money or whatever. But it's like it still feels uncomfortable. It feels almost taboo. At least it did for me. And so those conversations like never included a dollar amount. I like when I committed to Utah, I came on my visit and I told him, I was like, listen, I think we kind of talked NIL. I was like, listen, it's not even really about the money for me. Like, I trust that you'll take care of me to some degree, and I'm coming to play with my brother. And then they took that and they just took advantage of it, honestly. And, and so it's like one of the agents that I'm still close to him. He's more just like a friend than an agent, but he's in the agent space. And he told me after, he's like, honestly, you're still lucky to be getting what you're getting, because at the end of the day, no one ever gets what they're worth. They get what they negotiate. And like, that's the best advice I'd ever received. I was like, that's so true. Like, there are guys, you're so much better than, that are making 5 times what you're making, and it's just kind of a crazy world right now. But yeah.
Do you feel like that comes into play with in-game coaching decisions? Like, you have a guy on your bench making this much money, you have a guy on your bench making this much money, you're gonna put the ball where the money is more so.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question too. I think that I see both sides of it. Like, I know for a fact that it didn't always play a role this year. Like, I know guys that were making way less money played more,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
But there's also other politics stuff that comes into that, I think, but I do think that if I'm just speaking generally, I would say, yeah, it probably does affect, because the donors, like, you just think that from a donor perspective, if you're giving $500,000 for this guy, then he better be playing, and he better be playing a lot of minutes,
Yeah.
So,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you need to take
No, I think I'm good. He hasn't even texted. He said any time between 5 and 5:30, so it could end up being 30 more minutes. So
okay, yeah, cool.
So if you guys, I'm honestly having a blast. Like, I hope we're gonna cut this out, right? But like I said before, I haven't been doing anything. So any social interaction to me is really good.
Yeah, good. All right.
Did you keep up with BC last year? Like, did you kind of?
I watched most games. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough watch, but
it's hard. I feel bad for Coach Grant because, okay, this is something I would put on. I hope it's better this year, but like the budget they're working with is nowhere near what other teams are working with. And like, I also, the thing I want to address here is like, because we would say the same thing about Utah, right? It's like our budget was low, but like, I still felt like we had the right guys in the room to like, okay, we can, it's not like you're calling us shitty, like, we need more money to get better guys. Cause that's usually how it comes across.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can get better guys with lots of money, but I just want to put that out there. Like, I'm not calling their team terrible, cause that's not what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Just cause I just say that because I empathize with it, but I do know that their budget was so low, and I know that because of the numbers they were throwing to guys who ended up transferring for 5 times the amount, and so, yeah, you can do with that what you will. You can speculate about how much money guys were offered and how much they're getting paid, but it's I don't know. I feel bad for Coach Grant because you guys obviously know the other. Is it Jack Barragami?
Yeah.
Bargamini, yeah.
Okay. Because he called and he's doing a piece on I don't know if he's even posted it yet, but he called me mid-season, kind of wanting to find out a little bit more about my decision to transfer and like how I felt about Coach Grant. It's like I'll never have anything bad to say about Coach Grant. Like I'll always say like there's coaches with strengths and weaknesses, and I know lots of people like attack his in-game decisions and whatever. And I do feel like any coach is like you need good staff around you, good assistants. But like the Coach Grant was like the easiest guy and like the best guy to play for, you know, because it's like once you had that green light, it was like you never really thought about it. And that's something I felt really kind of toward the end of my senior year. And honestly, when I think about this year, it's like something I missed having, and probably the thing I missed the most about, I mean, other than my girlfriend, I guess, but like when I just think about BC, I'm just saving my relationship at that point. But when I think about like all the on the court stuff, it is like, it's just such an easy guy to play for, you know, and that's something I won't ever take for granted again, because I hope to be that when I coach someday too. You know, I know how much easier it is to play as a player when you like the guy you're playing for and when he cares about you. So
yeah, that's interesting you bring that up, because sorry again, Brett.
You're good.
I listen to a lot of, I mean, people like to harp on, us included, Brett and I like to harp on the in-game stuff so much, because, you know, that's what we see.
Naturally, exactly.
The game is won or lost by what we see on the court. So
for sure,
that's what we gravitate towards. But I listened to a couple, like NBA podcasts, like, you know, Zach Lowe, The Mismatch, things like that. And they, at the NBA level, it seems like players seem to favor a guy like a head coach with more of the managing egos, managing personality type skills, as opposed to the strength being the X's and O's and neglecting that personal side.
For sure.
So, I mean, I do wonder if, given that it's becoming more of a professional environment in college sports, if Coach Grant's kind of skill that like is of even more importance than certainly more so than what we give it credit for.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's interesting that you bring up too, because it is. But if you just think about, Jack cut out. Am I still here?
Yeah, you're still here. You're good.
See you, Jack.
See ya.
I was gonna. Do I wait for him to come? Is he gonna cop back right now?
Oh, he's already in here, but you just go ahead.
Okay, there we go.
He missed the boat.
The thing I was gonna say though, it's interesting because if you guys just think for a second, like if you put yourself in my shoes and you're just playing basketball for BC, it's like, would you rather play for a coach that really cares about you and really like is just a good, he's like a God-fearing, I'm not even a God-fearing guy. He's a God-fearing guy. I really respect that out of him, you know, and he doesn't really curse and he does, you know, and so I've just seen the opposite end of the spectrum. And I'm telling you, it's like, maybe I'm going to play for coaches like that overseas. Like I would assume that happens again, but if I had my choice every single year, it's like, I would choose to play for a guy like Coach Grant. And you're right, Jack. Like when you bring up this becoming a professional sport, I also think just generations are different. You know, like the Rick Pitino, Tom Izzo era is dying, you know? And like, there's going to come a time where like those guys, like where our generation is older. And I think probably most guys our age will govern with more compassion, you know? And I don't know. I think that I know now is like, you can do both. Like you can be hard on guys, but you can love them at the same time. And I think that's probably the best recipe to get the most out of dudes, you know? So, yeah.
I think one of the things with Coach Grant too, it's like last year, we've talked about this before with the transfers that he brought in, it was kind of reactionary to, you know, everyone leaving. Whereas like this year, I do feel like he's been a lot more like meticulous and kind of addressing needs overall, specifically with athleticism and size.
Right.
He's brought in a lot of big kids, but it's a testament that the amount or the level of talent that he is bringing in. Like he's got a former 4-star who's a local kid coming back to Massachusetts to play, and even some of the freshmen he's bringing in look like they're pretty solid. Like they have good offer sheets.
Right.
So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, you know, a lot of people are critical of him, and like we said, like us included, but it seems like players, and you can obviously attest to this, it seems like players really believe in him and do want to play for him.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, you're spot on there. And I think it's interesting because I think I just assume, because it's like I'm somewhere between the media and only playing, because like I said, I do both, and we've talked about that.
Mhm.
But it's like I think sometimes I'm a little ignorant to the fact that, like, okay, as a fan, it's totally okay. Like it's part of fandom to be super critical of coaches when things don't go well, of players when they mess up, But I think that's the whole point in me doing what I do, is like just trying to bridge that gap and almost humanize it in a sense. But like, yeah, I mean, you're spot on. It's like you're not in the wrong for harping on the in-game coaching adjustments. There were times where I was frustrated too, like, and I'm sure that's a thing everywhere. I think as I get older, I realize, like, just because Coach Grant's 50 or however old he is, it's like he doesn't have all the answers. He's not a perfect guy. I'll know that to be true when I'm 50 and I'm making terrible in the game. I make a mistake. And I hope that just people give me grace to some level, and I think that's what everyone on our team did with Coach Grant whenever there was something they maybe disagreed with. Because at the end of the day, it's coming from a good spot, and he has the best intentions. So, I don't want that to sound like Coach Grant can't make any decisions. Like, I feel like that's maybe how it's coming off right now.
No,
I think it's just important to recognize that there are strengths and weaknesses, but at the end of the day, it's like I wouldn't trade Coach Grant for any coach, honestly. So,
is there ever like you said that you're gonna go see QP play when you go home?
yeah.
Is it like a surreal, weird moment to think like, hey, my teammate, guy I played with, is playing for the Golden State War? Like, is it ever like?
He's like really playing for them.
Yeah, he's really
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I went to see him. They played the Jazz earlier this year, and so I went to that game. And it's funny because, like, at that point in time, he was sitting on the ground in street clothes. Like, he was a rookie, and it's like he was still on his two-way. And so that was like, I think it was like the season opener or like the game after the season. So it's really early on. And he didn't play at all. And so to see the rise this year has been super, like, it kind of makes me like proud of him and for him, and like happy for him. Just because, like, as a teammate, you don't see all of it, but you see lots of it, especially like the years we were together. And so for it to culminate in, like, oh, they're moving on to the second round of the playoffs, and he started half the games in the first series, it's like, it's pretty crazy. So yeah, I mean, I feel really happy for him. But yeah, it's definitely a little surreal. I texted him yesterday before the game, and I was just like, it's like, I'm proud of you, and it's crazy how much can change in a year. Like, enjoy Game 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty crazy, pretty surreal.
Yeah, I did put out a tweet yesterday. I said, I wonder what the pressure of a road Game 7, how that compares to a first round NIT game in Providence. Because like you said, it is crazy, but like.
I mean, yeah, you think about it. A year ago, I mean, I guess a little over a year ago, we're playing NIT, and now we're here.
It's also awesome because I feel like once a month I'd see like something like QP like have one of those games where he like has like 5 threes and is like he like pulls out from 28 feet
and he hits this one.
Yes.
I know. It's great.
Yeah, that's cool.
I made the vlog. I made the vlog after the Providence game last year. So
did you make it?
I did.
Yeah. That was one of my favorites. Yeah, the Let's Go Eagles chant at the end. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, to go and win, I don't care if Devin Carter was playing or not. To go down and win there was pretty sick.
Yeah. Especially with the Elijah game.
Elijah game. That's great. Yeah, how about Elijah to South Carolina too? I haven't talked.
I know.
It's kind of interesting. That's what I'm going to tell you. They threw him money.
They must have really liked him when they came.
I know, like, one of my other teammates is from Utah is going to South Carolina. They got that bread.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, which is great. Like, it's just all SEC. Like that, you're talking about a team that they win one SEC game, and you're talking about
they were one of two teams, and they were one of two teams to not make the tournament in that conference.
Yeah, think about that.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. SEC money's just different right now, honestly. So
yeah.
Crazy.
It's crazy too, because when you think about even like the NCAA tournament and how it all kind of, correlates to NIL, like all four number 1 seeds all made the Final Fours.
Right.
There really wasn't like a ton. I mean, like the Cinderella stories, it wasn't.
No, I mean, what was the main? It was like Arkansas to the Sweet 16. That's
Yeah,
not
pretty
even
much.
Cinderella.
No.
They kind of just underperformed in the regular season.
Yeah,
They weren't
right.
really,
and then they got pushed
Yeah.
out
yeah.
at home, and it's
And
like,
they're another team with that.
oh my
like
gosh,
they
yeah.
come on.
yeah, they're maybe the least favorable Cinderella ever. No one's
Yeah.
rooting for that Cinderella.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay,
Yeah,
y'all got anything else, or are we good? Oh wait, hold on. This might be perfect timing. Oh, he said, "Hey, I think I am here."
Oh, bet.
Jesus,
Yeah,
sir.
you gotta go.
Does that wrap up perfectly?
That wraps
think
up
so.
perfectly.
I
Any
think
last
so.
second questions or no?
Yeah, what's your darkest fear, mate? Not just
This guy's gonna be waiting at the door for a minute.
All right.
why don't you, before you go, just shout out your stuff, let everyone know where they can
Yeah.
find you.
Okay, so I started doing YouTube 2 years ago, and you can find me on YouTube at Mace Madsen. I'm looking forward to just kind of continuing that journey. I think there's just so much uncertainty as far as overseas basketball goes. I look forward to like kind of shining a light on that whole journey. So Mace Madsen on every channel, pretty much. I'm posting shorts now. Like I said, I got time on my hands, so I'm trying to figure out what to do. And I've taken up my own editing again too a little bit. So that's been a journey for me. So that's good.
It looks good.
Yeah, and I might be coming out with a podcast too. I told you I got this podcast mic. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but we'll see. Maybe it'll just be for the
Hey,
YouTube.
we'll have a collab. You can
Hey,
join the
that
crew.
sounds-
Or you can
that
join the
sounds-
crew.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, I appreciate you
Yeah.
guys having me on, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
thanks so
you
much,
again,
Mason.
Mason.
All right, absolutely. I'll talk to you fellas soon.
All right, later, man.
See it.
All right, so I don't even know where to start on this debrief outro.
Yeah,
That
it's
there was a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of good clips coming out from this
Yeah.
one. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that he was so effusive in his praise. Effusive? I don't know. I'm not surprised of his
Good word.
praise of Coach Grant, but man, like it makes me think about some things.
Me too.
Like things that because he got to reconcile like what we see on the court, but then also like Mason, he was in that program for 2 years,
Yeah.
so that you got to. So I mean, it's interesting how highly he holds Coach Grant in regards. So yeah, interesting.
And because he was like very much a part of their little rise there. Like the year that they beat Virginia, and then the next year when they made that little NIT run, it's like he was firmly in the mix with those guys. So if
it seemed like he was very. It almost came across as a little disappointed when he's like, because he like, remember he said he's like walked out of that meeting kind of leaning on the side of coming back, and then the thing with his brother, which you can't fault him for at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, if you just plugged him in this year, I don't know. Maybe they, instead of 4-16, they go 7-13 or something like that. But
yeah,
who knows? Yeah, so it is interesting to think about, and I did also enjoy his insights about the different, like the scales of money, the money that players are getting. So that a lot of good insights from that one.
Yeah. Imagine if we were able to get Gabe to come here instead of him going out there.
I do wonder that. Well, that's what crossed my mind when Gabe called him and he was like, "Hey man, I'm entering the portal." Like my first thought, because I know what happens in 2020, but my first thought is, oh, you should have come to BC. But I do wonder how much of a thing that might have been, if at all.
Yeah,
that would have been sick.
It would have been sick, and I mean that would have been, at least 3 to 4 wins, 3 to 4 more wins.
I mean, we had 3 or 4 games that should have been wins that were one single possession games. So
yeah.
I mean, who knows? I do wish we got a little. Yeah, it would have helped to have a 5th-year senior on some of those teams, but yeah, I do wish we got more into his professional prospects, because it seems like he's looking overseas, has an agent. So I do wonder what that process is looking like. I don't know what the overseas basketball calendar is when the season starts or whatever.
Yeah, I don't either.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. Seems like he's pretty positive about that he is going to end up somewhere. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see where that is.
I think Jay-Z also put out a tweet saying that even though he entered the portal, he is planning on going overseas professionally. So it looks like, there'll be a couple guys that will be able to keep tabs on.
Yeah. Also, well, the Jay-Z portal thing, like a bunch of guys like entered the portal with no eligibility left. I think trying to, I don't know, petition for another year. Which honestly, I wonder if Mason never considered that. But did you see the one Clemson guy, one of Jay-Z's teammates, Ian Shefflin? He entered the portal, but then joined the football team. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So that's pretty nuts. But yeah, so it'll be cool to see, Jay-Z, Mason. I don't know. Dev will go back to Vandy. Maybe who knows if Claudel ends up anywhere overseas, but good. It'll be good to keep tabs on those guys.
I have a feeling that Claudel will end up professionally overseas somewhere.
I think so. I mean, he averaged 14 a game here. I think he averaged 10-ish. He'll end up somewhere.
If not 10, it was like a tick under 10. So it's like he was still productive.
Like largely off the bench. He'll end up somewhere. So I mean, it'll be what we think about all the time, where you have QP in the NBA, all these Power 5 guys, how they not make the tournament. That'll be a whole thing for years to come for sure. But I mean, it is nice though having QP like in such a prominent team in a prominent moment in a big role. Because I mean, Kai and Jerome, like they were great in college. Jerome was a lottery pick, didn't really pan out. No. Kai didn't really pan out. Reggie Jackson, long NBA career. We had that, but it's nice to have a BC guy kind of in like a relevant role on a relevant team in the NBA, because it kind of brings a little bit of a legitimacy to the program, which we appreciate, which we struggle with, but.
Yeah. Even I was at the dinner when Game 7 was happening, and I'm like, I'm pulling for Golden State, and a couple of the guys I was like, no, they played the Rockets.
They play the Rockets, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, why?
I can see why. Because Rockets are like a young team. People tend to like.
They're like, oh, I want Ime to win. Like, fuck Steve Kerr, and I was like, I don't really care.
Because
Yeah,
I didn't even think
like,
about the Boston.
I'm like, I don't care. Yeah, I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, because Steve Kerr didn't. Yeah, people aren't Boston fans mad that Steve Kerr didn't play Tatum in the Olympics.
I
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't really care about that. I was like, I like Quentin Post, and my boy was like, oh wait, that the kid from BC? I'm like, sure is.
Yeah, no, it's just great because I mean, it's like guys that aren't familiar with BC, they know QP. But I was watching that game last night, and I was like, QP got pulled after like 3 minutes in the first half. I was like kind of pissed. Like, come on, man. No, I get it. He's getting, I know. He got a lot of tick the first 6 games, which, I think was really good for him. But there were some moments, like defending Şengün, who's one of the better big men in the league, where he did struggle with defensively. But no, it'll be cool to see him, second round playing with guys like Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, like playoff guys.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be keeping tabs on those games for sure.
Not only that, but it's like now we have a career to kind of continue to follow. It's like we can watch QP continue to grow, see what happens with him. Because like you were saying before with Reggie Jackson, it's like he was, in the twilight of his career now. And he did have a renaissance there for a couple of years where he was pretty impactful, as a NBA vet.
He had some good years in Oklahoma City, bench guy. He was on the Nuggets when they won. Good bench piece there. So yeah, he's had his moments.
I think he was a pretty good bench piece in LA too for the Clippers, I think.
Yeah. He definitely was on the Clippers for a while. Or a little bit. Yeah, so I do wonder what if QP will kind of I think he's on a cheap contract for how much he's playing. So I do wonder if they'll keep him around for that value. Or if he'll become like a journeyman trade piece somewhere. But yeah, that'll be interesting. I also do. I gotta imagine it has some sort of effect when you're recruiting either high school or transfer portal guys, like saying, "Hey, because they did develop this guy from Mississippi State. Like he was averaging,
from the portal.
He was averaging 10 minutes a game at Mississippi State. He came here. Now he's a rotation guy for a second round playoff team. So, that's gotta carry some weight. So it's good to, it's good to see eyeballs on QP. It's the playoffs.
It's a little funny too how Jerome and Kai Bowman both played for the Warriors too. It's like the BC Golden State pipeline.
Yeah. I do wonder if that's a thing. I don't know. Maybe Donald Hand in 2 years will be on their summer league team and will be fighting.
True.
Who knows?
True.
Who knows?
You know what? That's something I wanted to ask Mason too. I wanted to ask him about Donald Hand.
About him coming back?
Him coming back, just like how much he grew last year, like, is that, I just wanted, like, was he doing that in a limited capacity, like in practice or whatever? Did you guys see that? Were you surprised?
We didn't really see that last year much at all.
No.
Yeah, that is interesting. But yeah, I wish his Facebook Marketplace guy was a little bit later, because we would have gotten some more good stuff out of him. But that's all right. He'll come back. He'll have his third appearance on the pod for sure.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. I don't know, any other basketball stuff that you wanna touch on?
I don't think so. Like that was. I feel like. I mean, I was ecstatic with everything we did cover, and I love how instead of kind of talking about, X's and O's or numbers, it was like NIL, your experience with it, your relationship, your continued relationship with BC. It's like all the stuff that you want to know that you normally wouldn't get out of somebody, unless you're just having a conversation with them, even off the record. It's like off the record type stuff. So I'm good with that.
He talks about wanting to become a coach, and I think he'd be, I could definitely see him being a coach.
Yeah.
I could also see him being an agent of some sort. With
Me too.
He seems very in tune and very passionate about like the whole landscape of it. I mean, who knows? In 5 years, NIL could look completely different now. I could also see that. So I'll be interested to see his journey going forward. And it's great that he's a content guy. So we'll have a front row seat to it all.
Have you been watching his shorts? His shorts are great, or reels, or whatever.
I do watch his shorts. Do come because I'm subscribed, so I get his shorts a lot.
Me too.
Admittedly, like he puts out 30-minute video. I don't watch the entire thing every time. Sorry, Mason. But his shorts are good content. So especially now as he's transitioning to pro journey, it'll be good to follow.
Yeah, and that'll be cool, kind of getting to look at it through like overseas and the process of just professional basketball. You know
who I wish. I guess we kind of do, because he's very online. But it would have been fun to follow Brevin Galloway.
Yes,
it's closely, because like it's so crazy. He's in 4 years at Charleston, year at BC with Grant, year with Clemson. Yep. Went to China, and I don't know if he's on a team right now, but he's doing influencer stuff in China. I don't even know, but he would have been a fun guy to have on the pod, in a kind of a Mason way, but also like completely different. I don't really know, but but
I think that might be the next person that we reach out to. I think we just decided.
We'll shoot our shot. We'll see what he'll definitely have some praise for Coach Grant. I mean, I feel like he's known Coach Grant his entire life.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, good content out of Mace today.
Yeah, thank you again, Mason. Obviously, you're not here. You're either selling or buying golf clubs at the moment, but thank you.
Whatever it is, I hope you're making money out of it.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Anything else before we wrap up here? Nice quick hitter. Nice.
No, yeah. This I like
Clean
this.
40.
I like this little clean 45, clean
Yeah.
hour pace. No, nothing from me. Not much movement on like the football front, really. Women's lax starts the NCAA tournament on
Okay.
Friday or
Are
Sunday.
they the 2
But-
seed?
They're the 2 seed, yeah. So they're
Okay.
opposite of UNC. So they'll.
Okay.
I think they play the winner of Stony Brook and Loyola Marymount on Sunday, and then
Okay.
they'll probably play like Syracuse or Maryland if they win that. But
Okay.
so we'll probably have more on it next week. But just keeping an eye on that. But other than that, I got nothing else.
Yeah, I got nothing else either. This is, for the listeners, this is more or less the dead season, but we'll continue to bring on guests. I think that's kind of our bread and butter at this point. We'll get some media guys,
Yeah.
we'll get some players, maybe some current players if we can work that out, but definitely former players. I think we have Drew Kendall, Jay-Z, a couple other guys that are in the wings looking to come on the show. So we'll definitely have some good guests in the coming future.
Philadelphia Eagle, Drew Kendall. Let's get it.
That's right. How do you real quick before we end? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I'm glad for a 5th round pick. I'm pretty happy. I mean, I think we're the best offensive line coach in the NFL. So if he saw
Maybe
enough
in the world.
Yeah, well, certainly.
Yeah.
But if he saw something in Drew Kendall that he thought he could do something with, who am I to argue against that? So I think I don't think he'll be starting at right guard or anything, but I think I could. I'm definitely excited to see him in green. So
absolutely,
it'll be good to have him on too, because I could say talk to Philadelphia Eagle. So
hell yeah. With that, episode 24, right? 24.
Yeah, 24.
All right, episode 24, the Dennis Clifford episode. Most importantly, also the CJ Payne episode. Payne?
Pull. Yeah, CJ Payne. Right? Yeah,
CJ Payne.
Good pull.
I think that's. Or we can Jordan McDonald too. It's a current guy. We'll throw him in the mix. But,
shout out Jordan McDonald.
Definitely Dennis Clifford though. That's another guy I want to get on. Dennis, we'll get him on as well. But
for sure.
Episode 24 in the books. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you guys next week. Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.